Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez. Behind the scenes is Nicole Burdick, and we're so glad you're here because it's story time. Battle Spirits Saga is a new trading card game from Bandai. It goes on sale April 28, but I recently got to attend a special pre-release launch event in Las Vegas where I got to try out the game before it was widely available. Honestly, I think exposure to different games is good for the soul. It opens you up to new ways of thinking, makes you appreciate your favorite games more, and it also reminds you that your favorite game isn't the only one out there, and you're always welcome to try something fresh. I picked 10 cards that capture what I like best about Battle Spirits Saga, but they're not in any particular order or anything. And to be clear, this isn't sponsored content. I just really do like this game. And I think there are some interesting stories to the cards, especially when viewed through the lens of a lifelong Magic player. With all of that said, here are my 10 favorite cards from the first set of Battle Spirits Saga, Dawn of History. Number 1, Absolute Ice Shield. This was a very hard one for me to understand initially, because at first glance, it kind of reads like a fog effect, and in Magic, those are, never playable? You certainly wouldn't expect to see 4 copies in almost every deck in the top 32. As I watched the tournament play out in Vegas, however, it became clear just how useful this card really is. It is a burst card, which means you can place it face down in a special zone, and then you get to cast it for free when certain conditions are met. Magic has some cards like this, sort of. Mostly the trap cards. Or maybe something like Foretell, where you're setting a spell aside from your hand to be used later. The trigger for Ice Shield is taking damage, in which case it immediately replaces the life core you just lost, and then you have the opportunity to pay its price and end the entire attack step. So that is kind of like Kicker in Magic, where you can spend more to get an upgraded effect, and here it plays out like a fog that has been stapled onto a healing spell. But even that probably wouldn't be playable in Magic, so why does it work in Battle Spirits Saga? Well, I think it's because players only have 5 life cores to begin with, so replacing a lost one represents regaining 20% of your life, but more importantly, it negates an entire spirit's attack. If your opponent budgeted out their turn thinking that they were going to swing out for the win, and then you reveal Ice Shield on their second to last attack, they might not have enough spirits left to kill you with, and they probably just exhausted most of their board, which means you have an open window to now kill them on your turn. The fact that this card can just sit there face down in your burst zone and force your opponent to respect it adds a whole extra layer to combat decisions that I think is really fascinating, and that makes it one of my favorite cards in this game. My number 2 is another burst card, and this one is called Starblessed Draw, which also appeared all over the top 32 in the Vegas tournament. This one lets you draw 2 cards when an opponent resolves a spirit's when summoned effect, and you can then kick it for another 2 cards if that's how you want to spend your cores. Turns out, in most card games, drawing more cards is good, and drawing 4 more cards is therefore very, very good. Even if you're not playing a red deck, it is still often worth it to splash for Starblessed Draw, because you'll probably get to fire it off for free. Except, sometimes you won't. The second place deck in Vegas ran almost no cards with when summoned effects on them, which means if you put this face down as your 1 burst card, it would be stuck there all game, and instead of coming out ahead 2 or 4 cards, you'd actually be down 1. So this is interesting because in Magic, a control deck often wants to sit back and counter or kill everything played by an aggressive deck, and it will try to refill its hand whenever it gets the opportunity. But in Battle Spirits Saga, control decks have to work a little harder for it, because an aggressive deck might not trigger your Starblessed Draw, and you'll have to hardcast it, which makes it considerably less efficient. I recently did a video covering the immaculate tension of Battle Spirits Saga, and this is another great example of that. Burst cards are a real test of a player's understanding of the matchup. Stick the wrong card into your burst zone and you'll only be hurting yourself. Stick the right one down there though, and you might be able to steal a game you would have otherwise lost. It's such an interesting design space, and Magic doesn't have anything quite like it. Also, I think the creators of Battle Spirits Saga recognized the importance of these cards, and so both are available in borderless versions, which look great, and can be found in regular booster packs. Something it took Magic decades to figure out players might want. My number 3 favorite card was going to be just Arcana Soldier, but I'm going to bundle it with Raccoon Guard. These are examples of the game's vanilla spirits, which do still have some value in constructed decks, unlike Magic, where every creature pretty much has to do something to make it worth including in your list. The raccoon, I want to point out, also appears in the art for the borderless Absolute Ice Shield, which I think is really fun and funny. He's not a major character or anything, he just has an interesting look to him, and he's making a great face here as an opponent's attack falls just short of roasting him. And the Arcana Soldier, I mean, this is Magic Arcanum, and it's always cool to see that word or its cousins appear on cards within games. In fact, these little guys live in an area called the Land of Cards, and they are known for being excellent public speakers, but quite lazy when it comes to doing any real work. And I've never felt so seen in a card game. Anyway, why would you put vanilla spirits into your deck? Well, it's because in this game, they all have the ability to level up, and the vanilla spirits have some of the best return on investment. Again, that red deck that nearly won the Las Vegas launch event, it had a ton of vanilla spirits in it. The creator of the deck jokingly called it unemployed dudes because they don't really do anything, they're just big. And it turns out that can be enough to win you several $1,000s. Bython is next on my top 10 list because it introduces us to the Soul Core mechanic. You see, in Battle Spirits Saga, you pay for things with cores. You start off with a few already in your reserve, but only one is your Soul Core. And some cards care about either holding it or seeing it be used to pay for a cost. Since you've only got the one Soul Core, you'll have to deploy it wisely, and Bython might be one way to do that. If this spirit is the one holding your Soul Core, you get to draw a card when it attacks. Note that even if you have multiple Bythons, you can still only give one your Soul Core. So this is an interesting way to balance out cards. They can have strong effects because they're gated behind the Soul Core, and the game designers know that this puts a limit on how often you'll be able to get value out of them. Now, to be clear, you can move your Soul Core around, and if this spirit dies, you'll get the core back to place on someone else next turn. So it's not like you're locked into your decision all game, but there are still choices to be made about how you use this very limited resource. And I think that's really cool. Number 5 on my list is Hollow Beast Glass Bear, another spirit that wants to hold your Soul Core, but uses it defensively rather than offensively like the snake we just saw. Glass Bear is something of a ramp card, and even though he costs 3, you actually start the game with enough resources to play him on turn 1 if you want to. So this makes him similar to Llanowar Elves, in a way, but also not quite. Assuming you gave Glass Bear your Soul Core, then anytime he blocks, he fetches another core from the Void and adds it to himself. The Void is just the space where cores hang out before they get added to the game, basically a command zone for your resources. Notice that by adding cores to himself, he can also level himself up to become an even more effective blocker. Or you can take those cores and use them to summon more spirits or cast magic or whatever you want to do. The resource system in this game is very flexible, which is another thing I like about it, but that's probably a topic that gets its own entire video someday. So yeah, an early turn Glass Bear can set up the white deck to execute their game plan. He can just sit there and discourage attacks, or he'll ramp you up and help you keep pace against an aggressive deck that tries to attack around him. And the art is cool. Good card. Alright, this is a great time to pivot back over to something more whimsical, So my next favorite card is Flamefish. If Magikarp and Goblin Arsonist had a baby, I guess it would be this card. The art on Flamefish almost makes you overlook its death trigger, which threatens to wipe out something much more expensive if it's holding your soul core, which makes this guy a potential 2-for-1, and a humiliating 2-for-1 at that. Sometimes you just gotta send a message, you know? So far, we've looked at a few spirits and some magic cards, but my next one is called a Nexus, which behaves a lot like an enchantment. Where Stars Are Born is my pick to represent this card type because it's a cool cosmic location and serves as a great build-around for a specific type of deck. Nexus cards sit on the field and usually provide a static or triggered effect. In the case of Where Stars Are Born, when you place it, you get to reveal one card from the top of your deck for each star dragon you control, and then pick a red spirit from among those revealed and put it into your hand. So obviously, you want star dragons in your deck, and the more of them that you have out already, the better your chances are that they will give birth to an offspring. So the flavor here is already pretty great. On top of that, if you level up this Nexus, then you get an attack trigger for your spirits that cost 4 or more. They get to straight up eat your opponent's weaker spirits, who just aren't strong enough to survive living Where Stars Are Born. It's a flavorful card, it's got a fun name, it's got some neat abilities that can help you draw a card and remove chump blockers. There's a lot going on here I like, and it's a common, so it's an easy card to get. Number 8? Sure. Caladrius, a lyric bird who likes to play doctor. Okay, so this is another kind of goofy looking one, but if you level him up, his luster ability is quite nice. You remember Feather from War of the Spark? It's the same kind of thing. Any magic cards you use during his battle get returned to your hand to be used again. Yellow happens to have some pretty good offensive magic, and if you combine that with, say, Archangel Michaela holding your soul core, you get to cast them all for free. Granted, that is a somewhat expensive and unstable setup, and maybe not the best path to victory, but it is an interesting twist on the spell slinger style of deck, and it proves that even with just one set, Battle Spirits Saga already supports a variety of playstyles. And yes, that is a little penguin down on his knees putting his flippers together in prayer on Gleam of Hope. That's an honorary member of my top 10. I do have a few more I want to talk about though, and they are 2 of the major characters in the game's story. First is Grand Underworld Trio Queen Maduke, the antagonist of Battle Spirits Saga, who has set her sights on conquering the Realm of Flame, though she probably won't stop there. The Queen is part serpent and is able to heal herself from almost anything. Her card captures this by being nearly unkillable, and even if another spirit does manage to best her in battle, she just sucks a life core out of your opponent to regenerate herself. This makes her an extremely powerful card, which fits with her place in the story. And I believe there's a special promo version of her out there, but I haven't been able to find a picture yet, which kind of adds to her mystique. Opposing her is Supernova Dragon Seagworm Nova. And again, these names are part of the fun. Just embrace it. Believe it or not, he's a good guy. The dragons in Battle Spirits Saga follow Eastern tradition, where they are often protectors rather than Western dragons, which are often schemers and hoarders. Nova is basically the face of the game right now, and he gets special treatment by being the first Saga Rare, which gives him different art and a uniquely textured foil. However, you can still also open his regular X-Rare version. Both are available in booster packs, which is great. You might get lucky and pull the one that's currently worth a lot, but if you just want to play with him in your deck, the normal one is quite affordable. And those prices are pre-sale because the game isn't out until April 28, so I expect them to come down quite a bit, though the Saga Rare should hold its value for as long as the game is popular. And with so many fun and interesting cards, I hope the game is popular for a long time. But what about you? Was there something on my list that caught your attention? Are you going to look into this game now and find your own favorite cards? Let me know down in the comments. And then make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you'll only find here on Magic Arcanum. We'll see ya!